his back. Now, this was when he was playing the part. Imagine the real Jesus. Jesus, let me back up. Let me tell you something. Let me also throw this in. Now, I don't know. I believe. No, I ain't even going to say that because I don't know 100%, so I'm not even going to say that. If you heard this part and want to know, then write me on Facebook. But Jesus was then sentenced to death and was then crucified at a place named as Golgotha, Mark 15:22 through 25. An interesting fact to note is that the top of Golgotha, where the play, listen to this, the top of Golgotha, where Jesus hung, guess how many meters it is? 777. Interesting, ain't it? With him being, the Son of God, and God knew this place where, all eternity would be set for our salvation. He hung him. The number of completion is 7, but it was 777 meters. Knowing their sin would die, his work would be nearly complete. Keep going. In a Roman crucifixion, the Romans would use nails made of iron, and they are described as a square taper nail with a large head. You can't see my hand, but take your hand and do the OK sign. I'm not talking about the Illuminati 666 sign. Do the OK sign. Do it like the widest you can. Somewhere about there, or no. Tuck it in just a little bit. Tuck your index finger within your thumb a little bit. Jesse Duplantis said that when he saw the Lord in heaven, that the holes from the nails were just that big, just about. The Lord suffered so much for little me and you. He loves us just that much. Jesus said in Psalms 22 that they pierced his hands. Now, these are two possible ways that they could have done this now. One is that they could have literally pierced his hands, but since the hands are not strong enough to hold the entire cross up, they could have tied his wrist, to go along with that. Now, the second part, it would disagree with what Jesse saw. I agree with, number one. I'm just, telling you the two possible ways that, they could have done this, or, that they did them, in general. Another possible way is that they would nail the wrist to the cross, at times just above the wrist between the two bones of the forearm. But yes, I lean more towards way number one because people have seen him with holes in his hands, his actual hands. Okay. Let's see. A sister in Christ had a vision of the crucifixion. She saw a few men holding Jesus' limbs, while another pierced him. She then went on to say that Jesus' limbs were not stretched out completely, and the reason was to make the suffering worse. The reason being, when the person was suspended on the cross, his weight would rest on the nails in his hands and feet. The weight pulling on the nails in the person's hands and feet would soon become unbearable and would force the person upward to relieve the pain in his hands. Yet by doing this, he would push the painful nails in his feet. And this would go on for hours, causing great pain and agony. Whenever Jesus would have done this, it would have scraped his torn flesh on his back, on the rough splintered texture of the cross. The chest and the abdominal muscles in what control the breathing would become paralyzed while he hung in that position. Most of the time, the person's death would come through suffocation because the person would grow weaker as the time passed and ultimately would become too weak to move himself up more, so he would find himself unable to breathe. Just sit there and think, after all that Roman scourging that the Lord had to take, that when he was on the cross, he had to move up, and whenever he moved up, that ribbon flesh, not the flesh so much, but inside where the flesh, the open wound, imagine Jesus's open wound having to be splintered just by moving up and back, up and down on the cross to relieve pain in one area, but set pain to another. The Lord did that for us. And when Jesus had cried out in a loud voice, he said, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." Having said this, he breathed his last. Luke 23:46. It's possible from the amount of stress, high blood pressure, and other causes that Jesus possibly could have had a heart attack when he cried out to our Father. Why would Jesus go through all of this? Why would he go through all of this pain for us? Why would he do that when we just sin, and just spit back in his face? Why would he do this for us? Why would he do this for us, the ones who sent him there? Why? I'm going to tell you why. To keep you and I out of this place named hell. Hell is a real place. Jesus in Luke 12:5 said, "But I will forewarn you, whom ye shall fear, fear him, which after he hath killed hath power to cast into hell." Matthew 5:29. Whole body cast into hell. Isaiah 66:24. And their fire is not quenched. Mark 9:48. Where their worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. So the reality of hell is real and is in the middle of the earth. Psalms 55:15, Ezekiel 32:24, Ezekiel 31:18. Now it's the Jehovah's Witnesses that says that hell is not a literal fire. I have some for you. Y'all hand out that little short book that don't teach nothing that says, what does the Bible really teach? Well, if you're going from the scriptures, you will know hell is a real place. The fire is real. Hell is in the middle of the earth, and guess what? It is hot in the middle of the earth. So, bam, your theology is messed up, and you ain't serving the real, one true Yahweh Jehovah. Switch over to true Christianity. By the way, for those listening, Christianity has different denominations, Baptist, Pentecostal. Like those are not religions. Those are denominations. By the way, those are walls that keep God walled up. Me personally, I just like to let God loose in every single way I can. But let's see. What is hell like, one may ask? Let me give you some details from a few people who have literally saw hell in a vision or a near-death experience. What do they describe the smell being like? Mark 9:25, he rebuked the foul spirit. Bill Wees said there was a smell of burning flesh, of sulfur. The smell of these demons was like an open sewer. I want you to just go right now, press pause, go on your nearest block and corner, go stick your head down in a sewer, and tell me how it smelled. Open your mouth and just breathe in. Go like that. Get a whole gigantic mouthful. You ain't gonna do that, are you? Why? It don't smell good. All right, that's how hell smells. Let's keep going. The smell was almost like rotten meat, but was 100 times worse. Victoria Nihel. I work in Winn-Dixie. There was a lady that came through my line who told me that she left some meat in the car. Out. She was out of there. When the meat when she finally found out it was meat rotting in the car, this was like about 2 months ago, still hasn't got the smell out the car. Still hasn't. That's a bad smell, and she said it's 100 times worse. You want to be right there, don't you? That's where you want to be if you keep on sinning willingly. Let's keep going. The stench was indescribable. The stench was indescribable. It was the smell of dying and dead flesh. If you know you smell some dead outside, you know it don't smell good. You know that don't smell good. If you ever found a dead possum flesh or something outside with the sun just burning on it and just keep on hitting it, the sun rays keep on hitting it, cooking it outside, don't smell good. Do it with no seasoning, no nothing. It do not smell good. Still got the insides and smells nasty. Let's see, the heat. Is the fire real? Deuteronomy 32:22. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn in the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set a fire to the foundation of the mountains. Okay, get this now. The Lord gave us a window to peek into the heart of the earth. That window is a volcano. I quote from volcano scientists Mark and Barbara Decker. Volcanoes are dark windows to the Earth's interior because their products are the only direct samples of the composition of Earth's deeper levels. That's where hell is, right down there in the Earth. So when you peek into the Earth's window, which is a volcano, you're going to get an eye full of lava. You go try it, see what happened. Go to Hawaii, try it, see what happened. You get a little taste of hell right there. Goes on to say, I saw their flesh start to drip off of them like chocolate melting in the heat. Queen E. Dixon. Close your eyes and look at the nearest person and imagine their flesh dripping off of their skeleton just like chocolate melting in heat. Just think about that. Ain't something that you want to think about, is it? Evil spirits surrounded this man whose flesh has been dissolved and was left with only a skeleton. Imagine flesh dissolving. Your flesh dissolving, turning liquidy. That's disgusting and hot. By Subdua P. What do they say about your breathing? Mary K. Baxter said, I could barely breathe. Bill Wees said you never get a full breath of air. He said that you had to breathe like that's how he said you breathe when I was watching him talk about it on stage. The next part, worms. The worm should feed sweetly on him. That's in Job 24:20. The maggot is spread under you and the worms cover you. Isaiah 14:11. Every conceivable kind of fly was there. In addition, there was also short, thick, black worms everywhere climbing on everything. Victoria Nihel. Subdua P. said, those were the worms that I have never seen in this world. I guess she spoke broken English, but she said there were worms there that she's never seen in this world. So you ladies who don't like worms, you go to hell, you're going to see a lot more of them. Even some that look worse here than here. Bill Wees said there were giant spiders, huge spiders, rats, snakes, and worms. I couldn't do it. Carmelo Breen said there was even a moment when the worms would eat his bones. Notice they said that in the Bible said the worms feed sweetly. Like you're trying to savor something. Mary K. Baxter said that there were snakes 4 feet around. Imagine that type of snake being in your backyard for you to kill. A snake that is 4 feet around. That kind of snake ain't no joke. Now, other snakes ain't no joke. This kind of snake ain't no joke. You don't play with it. Okay, demons and torture. Psalm 74:20. For the dark places of the earth are full of haunts of cruelty. I saw people being tormented by demons. With his long spear, he would stab her everywhere, and he didn't care. Jennifer Perez. Each one had a sharp spear in his hand, which he kept thrusting into the coffin through small openings that lined the outside. Mary K. Baxter. Kim Joanne. I realized that there were coffins. Evil spirits were jabbing their long, sharp spears into holes unmercifully. Mary K. Baxter again. Something unseen was tearing at my body, while evil spirits in the form of bats were biting me all over. Now do you wonder why? And you see on October 31st on Halloween when you go in haunted houses, you see coffins with monsters standing by them? It's because spirits inspire this stuff through people. Halloween is a demonic holiday. Spirits inspire this stuff through people. It gives them a little taste of what hell is like. Hell is not a place where you want to be. Listen to this, how two demons, how Bill Wees described one demon. He actually described two. Since we're on the recording, I'll, go ahead and describe both of them from his book. Bill Wees described one demon. He said it resembled a reptile in appearance, but took on a human form. Their arms were uneven.